I see that you look at putting together a protocol for cancer like you're putting pieces of a puzzle together, to use your words. When you originally found Fred Eichhorn's research information on his website on ncrf.org and at the Cellect.org website, which included the information on the product Cellect, what went through your mind in this puzzle building world of yours for cancer?
That was cute, my puzzle building world. I was blown away by the information I was reading through it all, and it took quite some time for it to sink in. That was many years ago. What really got my attention back at that time were the cancer testimonials from different individuals that had written in. I read every testimonial on cancer, and I turned around and I read every single testimonial on non-cancer issues. What really caught my attention was Fred's theory of how effective his product Cellect was through his own observations, noting a 90% success rate back at that time. Well, this was the same success rate Dr. Johanna Budwig claimed in her research. The light bulb in my head went, whoa, could these two protocols be the missing link that each of them lacked when their individual protocols were not working? Could they be lacking each other? Could it be a lack of the minerals as well as a lack of electron-rich oils provided in the Budwig protocol when their protocols were not working as individual protocols?
Well, that makes sense. I mean, that's an interesting observation. Can you explain your thoughts once you saw this?
Well, I just covered Dr. Budwig's work very thoroughly with a full understanding of how this was working, as much as a layperson could understand of her work. The next area I went into to get a better understanding of his work was the research of Dr. Fred Eichhorn, who is a naturopathic doctor and is a biochemist that created the product Cellect. Fred Eichhorn is also the president of the National Cancer Research Foundation. I'd read about Fred's research at ncrf.org many years ago. He has a very interesting background, and I've had the privilege of spending many hours talking with him over the years. Fred is a licensed naturopathic physician, commonly referred to as an ND, and as I said, is a biochemist. He went through 4 years of pre-med, finishing the entire program. He spent an additional 4 years in surgical organ transplant research and taught chemistry lab for 3 years. In his website, ncrf.org, Fred talks about his own personal battle when he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer back in 1976. Fred was given only 3 to 6 months to live. His website contains a very interesting story about his battle with this deadly cancer and what his research has revealed about chronic and terminal diseases. The following is an excerpt from the NCRF website, and NCRF stands for National Cancer Research Foundation. Fred says the following: "We believe all cancers are the result of frequency changes in the electromagnetic fields as a result of incorrect proportions of elements, minerals, to each other caused by nutritional deficiency, toxic chemicals, radiation, anything that will interfere with the electromagnetic fields, influencing the natural bonding of elements within the cells and all chemistries within the body." Fred went on to say, "These changes affect how the nervous system, communication functions, and how minerals are available to manufacture cells, hormones, and other chemistries for various bodily functions. Mineral elemental deficiencies cause compromised mineral availability for manufacturing, causing structural changes in the amino acids, hormones, biofeedback, communication, all cellular nutritional mechanisms, DNA instructions and replication, causing a change in chemistry and cellular manufacturing instructions and supply, known as mutation."
I understand. So here again is another one which is a mouthful. Can you explain that in simpler terms, what Fred's talking about?
I think that people have to read his research information for themselves in the ncrf.org website and then draw their own conclusions or interpretations of his information in the complete context it was written. When I look at cancer and all of these chronic and terminal diseases over the years, which I've been researching and involved with, the conclusion I draw from reading through Fred's research as a layperson and many of the other famous doctors and scientists, I look at it from the standpoint of what a person eats, drinks, smokes, that's a good one, chews, and what they consume daily. Also look at it from what the person may have been exposed to in their daily activities or job related. A very good example would be my wife Sherry, who was a hairdresser, beautician for 40 years. This involved the use of many toxic chemicals, hair dyes, color, perm solutions, ammonia, hairspray, shampoo, and much more. This resulted in a very toxic overload in your body. Look at farmers, for example, with their products they're exposed to, such as the chemicals, insecticides, pesticides, GMOs, and much more throughout the years. Look at the daily exposure to factory workers worldwide in their job-related activities. This is a very small example of what people are exposed to around the world, but can have a profound impact on their health in the manner Fred was talking about. Another area I see here is a lack of proper elements in the body to protect you from this abnormal cell formation or mutation that Fred was referring to.
So how do you see the sequencing taking place?
In my simple lay terms, a person must have a proper balance of all the elements required by the body to properly make the amino acids, proteins, and chromosomes as they make up the DNA instructions for your body. I'm fully aware there's a lot more that goes into this, but this is my description. When made properly of the correct elements, the cells will come in with the correct instructions, live in their life cycle, and then dying off as they're supposed to, instead of just multiplying out of control in one area of the body or throughout the body, such as in the case of metastasized cancers. In my opinion, anytime you have an issue with something multiplying out of control in the body, such as an autoimmune attack, autoimmune disease, white blood cells multiplying out of control, blood disorders, blood cancers, bone marrow disorders, cancer cells metastasizing in one area or throughout the body, the DNA instructions are not correct, and the person must immediately get the elements back into the body for their body to try and make this correction.
Well, that makes a great deal of sense. So how can the body make the needed correction if it doesn't have the needed elements available to make the correction?
Now that's the question. I think Fred in his website said it best in the following statements in regards to cancer, and can be applied to other health issues as well. Fred said, killing cancer cells is not the answer. How can you kill a cell made by the body as per DNA instructions without expecting the body to manufacture more of the same after you killed it?
That makes a lot of sense.
Certainly. And Fred went on to say, the cancer cell is the result of the problem, not the cause. Therefore, upon killing the cancer cell, the result of the cause was never addressed or corrected. Because the cause was never corrected, nothing corrected the electromagnetic and frequency environments. The unchanged, incorrect environment continued to support the sequences taking place to manufacture the cell. Therefore, the body continues to manufacture cancer cells uninterrupted. Over time, the body produces more cancer cells. The doctors then say, well, it came back. How did that happen? We got it all out. They did not realize they removed the result of the condition instead of determining and correcting the initiating cause. Killing the cancer also weakens and kills normal cells and causes biochemical stress, including mineral chelation, taking needed minerals out of the body. Nothing positive is gained.
Fred put that very well.
I totally agree. I have some information Fred gave me years ago, and I don't know if it's in Fred's website presently, but here's some of his additional thoughts, perhaps put in a slightly different manner. Fred went on to say the nutritional deficiency or this change alters the DNA instructions, which causes the body to manufacture cells, hormones, and chemistry differently in a mass production method. When a doctor sees that differently manufactured cell, they call it a tumor or cancer and remove it as though it is the disease. If hormones are made incorrectly, the results include diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, etc. In reality, these are not diseases because the body created them as a result of incorrect chemistry. The only way to eliminate the problem is to correct the deficiency. When you correct the deficiency, the cancer cells will no longer be able to survive because of the many corrected environmental factors within the body's chemistry are now no longer correct for the cancer cells. They simply die off in a natural manner. There is no need to kill cancer cells. They die as a natural occurrence, like algae in a swimming pool. Fred went on to say, we found that proper nutritional restoration to the nervous system and cell nutrition throughout the body causes corrective domino effect reactions. Upon nutritional correction, the body resumes correct DNA instructions, leading to correct cell production. When the cancer cells die or go necrotic, they remain and show up on a CT and MRI scan. However, PET scans indicate they are dead cells. The body will eventually break down the dead cells, but it takes time.
Well, that's some great information, Mike. I mean, he made it very clear that a CT scan or an MRI scan can be looked at incorrectly. So the doctors may actually be looking at dead cancer cells, and the only real way to separate the live cancer cells from the dead cancer cells would be the PET scan. And since the PET scan uses glucose, the live cancer cells draw it in. A person can differentiate between dead and a live cell.
That is correct, but there can be infections that can draw the glucose as well, making it appear to be cancer if a person's not careful in their review of the scans.
So I see another concern here with this information that you've pointed out already previously in the series that we're both well aware of. Cancer and the tumors can totally get out of control before these people ever start an alternative protocol, should they go in that direction.
That is correct. And in those cases of life-threatening issues, people need to realize that the alternatives take time to work, and a doctor must address the life-threatening issue, if possible, as I mentioned before.
I think pointing that out to people again might be a great idea.
I look at all this in a very simplified manner. I tell everyone I come in contact with worldwide when looking where to start and how to address their chronic or terminal health issue. I simply tell them to look at what God said in the Bible as to how He created man. He said, I created man from the dust, the dirt, or the clay, however one wants to interpret this. Then, when dealing with a chronic or terminal disease, the person has to ask themselves the following in addressing their issue. What are the elements in the dust, the dirt, or the clay that God created man from?
Well, that would be the minerals of the earth.
Exactly. The reason they're so powerful is that they're made up of positive and negative charges, and each have their own frequencies. Positive charged minerals push up the alkalinity of the body's tissues and fluids, which brings the inner terrain of the body to a more alkaline state. The body's then able to start the repair and healing process. Negatively charged minerals bring down the electrical charge in the body, which makes the body more acidic, creating an environment for any disease to take hold in our bodies. It makes no difference to the disease. If the person has too much of the negative and not enough of the positive, they're going to have health issues of some type, including chronic and terminal diseases, which were created by this environment. The environment allowed the issue or exposure to take hold.
I think you made that a lot easier for people to understand.
I sure hope so. Then the person has to be careful in addressing these issues, and in my opinion, best addressed by taking a proprietary blend of positive and negatively charged minerals in a synergistic balance. They play off of one another, and when taken in balance, they move the body to an alkaline state, so the repair and healing process can take place. This will not happen if they do not get the minerals into the body in balance. When getting the minerals into the body in balance, it allows proper formation of amino acids, proteins, and chromosomes, which make up the DNA sequencing, which produce millions of new cells daily to be made up of the correct cellular instructions. To use a visual description, I see the amino acid reaching up for the element needed for producing the amino acid correctly. People ask, what type of elements are you referring to? And my response would be, I don't know what's missing from your body that caused your issue. Is it a lack of calcium, magnesium, selenium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, electron-rich unsaturated fats, or a lack of activated enzymes? I don't know, but the person must get a balance of all into the body so the body can make the correction.